Good morning everyone, my name is Tony Tan, metric number 284990. So today, one of my groupmates communicated to metric number 289631 and me will try to explain about supervised algorithm and unsupervised algorithm. So first we will try to explain about the supervised learning algorithm first, and it's known as multi-layer perceptron. The field of artificial networks is often just called as neural networks or multi-layer perceptrons, after perhaps the most useful type of neural network. It's a field that investigates how simple models of biological brains can be used to solve the difficult computational tasks like the predictive modeling tasks we see in machine learning. The power of neural networks comes from their ability to learn the representation in your training data and how best to relate it to the output variable you want to predict. This is a picture that shows the multi-layer perceptron. The building blocks for the neural networks are artificial neurons. These are simple computation units that have wave input signals and can produce an output signal using an activation function. Because it's, as we said before, it's also known as a activation layer. An activation function is a simple mapping of some wave input to the output of the neuron. It's called an activation function because it governs the threshold at which the neuron is activated and the strength of the output signal. So next, we're moving to the multi-layer perceptron algorithm. So in this session, the algorithm of multi-layer perceptron, also known as the backpropagation algorithm. Backpropagation algorithm consists of two parts, which is the forward algorithm and the backward algorithm. First, the forward propagation refers to the calculation and storage of intermediate variables, including the outputs, for a neural network in order from the input layer to the output layer. And the second propagation is the backward propagation. It is the one of the learning machine that allows the multi-layer perceptron to iteratively adjust the wave in the network with the goal of minimizing the cost function. Okay, so that's all. Maybe someone can answer some question now. Okay, so let's way back to the multi-layer perceptron. So anyone can answer me how many layers in multi-layer perceptron?
Okay, I think I'm going to answer this question. And for the multi-layer perceptron, have 3 layers, and each layer is input layer, hidden layer, and output layer.
Alright. Maybe you can explain further about the hidden layer part.
Okay, so for the hidden layer, they have the nodes which called as the activation nodes, or known as the wait input, sum and pass through by the activation function, sometimes also called as the transfer function for the prediction, result, and output.
Right, very good. So maybe I can ask another question. Anyone can explain to me what are the principles used in both forward propagation and backward propagation?
I can answer. In my opinion, forward propagation will use the mean square error formula to sum of the square of the differences between all target output and actual node activation for the output layer. And for the backward propagation, originate directly from the incremental delta rule.
Okay, a very good answer. So then this is the picture about the multi-layer perceptron and how it's going. So this one is the input layer, and this is the hidden layer, and this is the output layer. For the supervised algorithm, I think it's okay, it's done. So my next group member will explain about the K-mean algorithm.
Okay, now I will explain the unsupervised algorithm, which is K-mean. A K-mean clustering algorithm tries to group similar items in the form of cluster. The number of groups is represented by a symbol K. For an example, in market there, you will see different kinds of vegetable. The one thing you will notice that the vegetable will be arranged in a group of their types. Like all the carrots will be kept in one place or group, potatoes will be kept with their kind, and so on. So now look at the above two figures, and what did you observe? The first figure shows the data before applying the K-means clustering algorithm. Here, all 3 different categories are masked up. Now, you all can look at the figure 2. This shows the data after applying the K-means clustering algorithm. And now you can see that all the 3 different items are classified into 3 different categories, which are called the cluster. And the next slide, please. So actually, how the K-means work? It will select the K value first, it then initialize the centroid and select the group, finally find the average. Next slide. And the figure 1 shows the representation of data of 2 different items. The first item has shown in blue color and the second item has shown in red color. Here I'm choosing the value of K randomly as 2, and there are different methods by which we can choose the right K value. In figure 2, join the 2 selected points, and now we have to find out the centroid. We will draw a perpendicular line to that line, and the points will move to their centroid. Then you will see that some of the red points are now moved to the blue points. And now this point belongs to the group of blue color items. And next slide. And the same process will be continued in figure 3. And we will join these 2 points and draw a perpendicular line to that and find out the centroid. Now the 2 points will move to its centroid again. Some of the red points get converted to the blue point. And the same process is happening in figure 4 too. And this process will be continued until and unless we get the 2 completely different clusters of this group. Next slide. And next we will talk about the calculation of K-mean. The diagram that's shown in the slide now is the formula of the K-mean calculation, and you all can see that I have labeled all the symbols below the formula. So the first step is choosing the number of cluster K. And the second step is we have to randomly select any K data points as cluster center and select the cluster center in such a way that they are as further as possible from each other. And the third step is to calculate the distance between each data point and each cluster center. The distance may be calculated either by using given distance function or by using Euclidean distance formula. And next, we have to assign each data point to some cluster. A data point is assigned to that cluster whose center is nearest to that data point. And then we have to recompute the center of newly formed cluster. And the center of cluster is computed by taking mean of all the data points contained in that cluster. And keep repeating the procedure from step 3 to step 5 until any of the following stopping criteria is met. Center of newly formed cluster do not change, data point remain present in the same cluster, and the last, maximum number of iterations are reached. And that's all for the K-mean explanation. And now I would like to ask some questions about this. The first question is, how would we perform K-means on very large data set? So which one of you would like to answer this question?
Me. Hi, I'm Chong. So, in my opinion, I think if the database set is too large, an alternative is using a mini batch of K-mean. So, the mini batch K-mean has a main advantage of reducing the computation cost of finding partitions, the cost of proportional of the size of the sample batch used, and the differences is more evident when the number of cluster is large. So, yes. All my opinions.
Okay, thank you, Harun, for the answer, and also thank you for the others. And I think you have answered the question correctly. And that's all from our explanation for the supervised and unsupervised. And thank you again for everyone's cooperation.